Welcome to the Nick and Nick podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Royalty Roofing and Siding. Crown your home and your commercial property and then wrap it with royalty. Today we have special guest on the podcast, a friend of mine. We just figured out it was about 20 years since we've known each other. He is Matt Guzinski from Farm Bureau Financial Services. Thanks for joining us on the Nick and Nick podcast.
Yep, thank you, Nick.
Really appreciate the presentation that you did to all of our project managers. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
That was good.
Before we get into it, you got to tell me about these socks. What are we doing here? Who are you rocking with?
My wife gets me those for Father's Day every year. It's got all my kids' faces on them.
It works.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I had to go there.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about Farm Bureau, if you would. You know, some of the services you provide. We'll talk. I got some specific questions as it relates to, some storm damage stuff, some roofing and siding things, premiums, deductibles, policies. We'll talk about some different things. But why don't you first expose our audience to some of the services that you guys provide, generally speaking?
So, with Farm Bureau, we do property casualty, we do investments through RBC, annuities, mutual funds, a lot of commercial insurance, farms, like pretty big into farms.
Okay.
Really do everything. Build a relationship and
see where it leads to.
And see where it leads to. Yeah.
Now, you specifically work on what part of that? Or do you just oversee the whole?
I've been an agent for 26 years. I bird dog my commercial business. I bird dog my farms. I got a guy that I work with.
Bird dog?
Bird dog.
Help me.
Like hunting. Like you go hunting, you got a bird dog that flushes up the bird and then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I bird dog a lot of stuff, which ultimately just means I find the contact.
Okay.
And I introduce them to my another Farm Bureau guy that writes the commercial stuff or writes the farm, and then we split the business, and my office and his office help take care of the client, and it's kind of the best of both worlds because a lot of, like, commercial and farms are different and they have different writers and different aspects than just your normal everyday property and casualty business. So. It's good to have a specialist. Mm-hmm. Like we have a regional financial advisor that we can work with. If you're a member of Farm Bureau, you can work with me, and we have a regional financial advisor that can, everything from giving you a second opinion on your 401k to writing an annuity or life insurance or whatever.
Now, how long have you been with Farm Bureau?
Straight out of college. I grew up in Tacoma, Nebraska.
Hey. Local guy, huh?
Lived there until I went to Wayne State College.
Okay, still local.
So went to Wayne State for 4 years. Met my manager that actually hired me at Farm Bureau at a career fair at Wayne, and went to Farm Bureau straight out of college back in June of 2000. And started from scratch. Farm Bureau's never given me any book of business. A lot of people that start nowadays, start with a pretty good start.
Right, you bootstrapped it.
But it definitely has its advantages because I know 98% of my clients,
and they've been with you from the get-go.
They've been with me, and relationships matter.
Yeah.
Premiums and those types of things matter too. But Farm Bureau's a good company. It's it's been pretty good ride. The last few years kind of not been overly amazing.
That's exactly what I want to get into. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about the insurance landscape the last 2-3 years, how it has evolved?
Yes.
What's changed? In what direction is it moving? Where do you see it going?
Oh, it's I'd say starting, insurance companies in general plan for storms.
Okay.
The number of storms that we had for several years, and then your tornado, the tornado in April of 24.
Are you speaking locally or nationally?
Or
both?
Nationally probably affects things, but when you're working with like us at Farm Bureau, it's Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company.
Okay.
So there's 8 different states.
Okay.
So you got Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa,
Midwest.
Mostly Midwest. We also do. I have Arizona, New Mexico. But when things happen in Nebraska, it typically
ripples.
It's just a Nebraska thing.
Okay, it does not.
a company-wide, what happens in Iowa doesn't necessarily affect what's going on here in Omaha.
So it's state?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, from what I've
Your
gathered
experience.
at my level. But, premiums have just been going up and up and up.
Across the board, or is that just
Across
that?
the board, yeah. And I got two of my best friends are independent agents. I got a buddy at State Farm. I got a buddy that I graduated with that's been at Allstate forever.
Okay.
We're all dealing with the same stuff. So it's, premiums are up. A lot of the coverages are changing. They're peeling away cosmetic damage. You can buy it back with us. But deductibles are going up.
And you attribute this specifically to the number or the quality or quantity of storms that we've had here in Omaha or in the Midwest, or do you attribute, is it inflation a part of it?
You probably have inflation, you have the number of storms that we've had, and just, the cost of everything.
Okay.
The cost of,
Ever
roofing
since COVID,
materials,
right?
working on vehicles, it's really crazy. I mean, if you look at the last half a dozen years, you probably, your premiums have probably doubled, if not, gone more, and then your deductible's gone up. Some coverages have been peeled away, and you have the option to buy some of them back.
Okay.
But you really need to work with, your agent as far as making sure that your insurance fits you.
That's exactly where I want to go to next. We're running into a lot of homeowners that have no idea what their policy covers, the deductible. You talked about cosmetic exclusions, metal exclusion, things like that. Really have no idea. How do you address that?
When those types of things happen with companies, when you have roofing schedules, you have cosmetic exclusions, you have, everybody sees when their auto insurance goes up. But when you get mail and it talks about a cosmetic exclusion, or, there's a roofing schedule that's been applied, most people don't even know what that means.
Right.
But they get a lot of mail from their insurance company, and unless they actively know or meet with their agent, they find out when you guys go out and you're dealing with a storm, and you're like, oh, by the way, did you know this or did you know that? And then they didn't know that, and then it's a mess. But
it is.
One of the nice things with Farm Bureau is we offer, like my office offers, literally every single year, every single client gets offered a review.
Okay.
Come into our office. We go through everything. We talk about the landscape of what's going on. We talk about.
But what percentage of homeowners take advantage of that review offer?
I would say, with my clients, and it's when they start with you, you plant that seed. Hey, this is an expectation.
This.
If you set the expectation at, we maybe don't need to get together every year,
right?
But we should probably get together every couple of years,
especially when things start to.
So I'd say probably 60-70% of my clients
so that's pretty good.
Come in. Probably, a certain percentage, they'll just call and, work with, Mark and Liz in the office, or, have a conversation.
Right.
But like I said, I know a lot of my clients.
Right.
So whether I run into you at the gym or, we see each other out and about at a sporting event or this or that, I mean, we can chew the fat about different things.
What would you say is maybe unique or different about Farm Bureau from the other companies in the insurance market? What separates you or differentiates Farm Bureau from all the other guys?
I'd say the two biggest things are the relationships.
Yes, relationship driven.
And being offered, literally when I say I know my clients, I know my clients.
Right.
I may not know, both of your, dogs' names or whatever, but a lot of my clients have been doing it for 26 years. A lot of them, I met their kid when they were, my youngest daughter's age,
Right.
And I got a 5-year-old, and it's just now they're driving or in college or graduating from college. And I just 2 weeks ago, I wrote a client of mine's daughters, they bought their first house. I've done their insurance for 25 years. And now his daughter bought a house, and, and she came to me because her dad was we didn't really know each other. We're building a relationship now. But, and then we have one deductible per occurrence. So what that means is you got 4 cars and you got your house and you have an outbuilding or a detached structure. You get blasted with hail. two of your cars are in the driveway, you're at Hy-Vee, and your house and outbuilding get hit, or with us, you just have one deductible.
Okay.
So it's going to be the higher, if you have a $3,500 wind and hail deductible on your house and a $1,000 deductible on your vehicles,
right.
You're going to have one $3,500 deductible, and then we're going to waive
oh, wow. Okay.
the other deductibles, which when we first rolled that out, I don't know, a dozen years ago, I'm like, whatever, that's not going to happen.
Right.
It happens.
It happens.
And, if you can save $1,000 here, $2,000 there.
Hey, I remember we were the day of the tornado hit Elkhorn. I mean, roofs were off properties, cars were rolled down into the neighbor's property.
Yep.
I mean, these catastrophic. I mean, it makes sense why the value of that. Would you say that's unique to Farm Bureau, or is that?
It is.
Okay.
There's one other company I'm aware of that has a similar deal.
Got it.
But yeah, the one deductible thing is definitely Farm Bureau.
We run into a lot of homeowners. More recently, they have wood shake roofs. You talked a little bit about it there in the room. They know they need to get it replaced. They know that their deductibles are skyrocketing. They know they may be getting dropped, that some insurance companies are not willing to cover the wood shake roof. From your perspective, what's Farm Bureau's approach to a wood shake roof?
So I don't know if we're the smart ones or the dumb ones, like I had said in there, but I've always been able to write wood shakes
for a higher.
When other companies were getting rid of them,
right,
we were taking them on. Now, whether you have replacement costs or actual cash value is all dependent on, essentially the thickness of the shingle, the wood shake, and how old it is.
Okay.
But the thing is with wood shakes is even if you have actual cash value instead of replacement costs on a wood shake, and it's 20 years old, a lot of those wood shakes, especially the thicker, like 3/4 inch ones, I think the lifespan that adjusters use is 35, 40 years.
Okay.
So if you have a 40-year life expectancy and it's 20 years old and you get ACV of, and there's still 20 years of life left,
right.
Most of the time there's enough money there to where you're not going to put a wood shake back on.
Right.
But you can put a different shingle back on. Your premiums go way down.
Right.
You no longer have that wood shake roof. And
so that was my next question. You're actually leading me right down the track here, because we just had a homeowner the other day, was in a real estate transaction, had a wood shake on, got the quote for a wood shake, and I think it was with State Farm, I believe. Wood shake quote versus replace the wood shake and negotiate it into the contract with a Bravo, which is a synthetic,
impact resistant.
Yep,
shingle.
impact resistant shingle, top of the line. And it dropped the quote from $12,000 per year to $3,000 per year, going from a wood shake to a Brava.
Yep.
Does that sound accurate? Is that across the board, or is that?
That is a thing. I can think of two clients that I have. One I lives in the Ridges.
Wood
Shadow
shakes,
Ridge.
yeah.
Wood shake. Essentially been waiting for a storm for years.
Trying to ride it out.
And ultimately they worked with me, and you work with a contractor like Royalty.
Right.
And if the insurance company's not paying for it, but the way that they looked at it was they knew they needed a new shingle or a new roof. They worked with the contractor. It was a cash deal. And then, they priced stuff out with, the insurance company on what it was currently with a 24-year-old or 29-year-old wood shake.
Right.
Versus a class 3 or class 4 impact resistant shingle. And I mean, it was like $11,000, $12,000 less.
Right.
So they were still out of pocket for them through, like a company like Royalty.
Right.
But if they looked at it long term, over the course of 3, 4, 5 years,
right, makes sense.
It makes sense. So,
right.
Yeah, it's we don't run into a ton of wood shakes. We can still do wood shakes.
Okay.
But most people move from a wood shake to something else.
Especially if it's going to make that much difference in your premium.
It is huge.
Right.
Huge premium difference. I don't know if 12 to 3, but I mean,
somewhere in there.
That one was 18 and it went down to, I don't know, 7 or something.
That's a no-brainer there.
Yeah.
Lastly, let's say it hails today. For our audience homeowners, maybe they've never filed a claim before. Can you walk us through the process from point A to point B to point C? What a homeowner should do, should not do, should do both when do they file? What's the order, the sequence of events? Can you help guide us through that process?
Yeah. So we encourage all of our customers, call us up first. Let's have a conversation.
Okay, so call the insurance company, call your agent first.
Yeah, I mean, I encourage them to call our office.
Okay.
So, I got a couple staff. We'll talk things through. If they want to turn in a claim, there's nothing that says I can't stop
It's up to the homeowner to determine.
It's up to the homeowner. But I always ask them, like, hey, do you have a relationship with any contractors or roofing companies? It's probably 50% of the time they say yeah, or somebody
Will
at
you
work knows
check
somebody.
the hail trace, or will you check the program to see wind, hail, was it in your neighborhood for them?
Yep.
Okay.
I keep in contact with a couple of the guys that I work with, and the areas that have large
Pretty
enough hail
specific,
to where
yeah.
you probably should turn in a claim.
Right.
So you're at the point to where you should turn in a claim. I'll still tell them, well, hey, do you know anybody? And no, I don't. Well, here, call Cooper at Royalty Roofing and
Before you file a claim.
Yeah, before you file a claim,
Okay.
get Cooper out there. Let him confirm what we think
Okay.
is the case.
With photos.
Cooper comes out. He, does his thing. There's, so many hits per square and whatever you guys do. And he says, yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, yeah, you should turn in a claim. Then they call us back.
Okay.
And then when we turn in the claim or they turn in the claim, I always tell them, like, hey, just let us know that you have a contractor that you're working with.
Right.
And so that goes on the file. So
Okay.
then when we call you to schedule coming out, we know that
Yes.
you work with Cooper. So
Right.
then we
Right.
we coordinate with Cooper.
Yep.
Cooper meets the adjuster out there.
Yep.
They hash everything out.
Okay.
And it just makes the process so much easier than just
Right.
than not having something, because then you're dealing with leaving messages and emails and
Right.
it's like I always encourage my clients to work with someone, whether it's somebody that I refer or
Right.
somebody they know.
Right. Along those lines, what are the boxes to check as it relates to, maybe they have a relationship with, but maybe a little bit of a distant relationship with somebody they know that does roofing. What are the boxes to check? Local, licensed, insured,
Yeah.
reputable they've been around. They're not just a
Yeah,
startup.
100%. I mean, you want to work with somebody that's been around. When we have large storms, there's storm chasers that will come in. They'll rent a bay. A contractor
okay.
will rent a bay, make it look like they're local.
Hang a
get a
shingle.
local phone, and they're not really local.
Right.
And so, I mean, I always tell them, like, these are a couple companies that
Right, we've
that I
worked
would
with.
probably wouldn't work with. It's these are a few that I would work with.
Okay.
But I mean, if somebody threw royalty out there, I'd be like,
Okay.
who are you working with over there? And
Right.
maybe I do or don't know the guy or the gal. And
Okay, so they meet the adjuster out at the roof, obvious hail damage, whatever. Then where does the process go from there?
they meet the adjuster out there. The adjuster goes back. They've taken photos. They either agree that things need to
was
be
or was
replaced,
not
or they
damage,
agree
yeah.
to not. Let's just say everything is they agree on this, that, and the next thing. Everything goes back in. They throw it into Xactimate. You guys
Yep.
use Xactimate. It comes out with an amount.
Okay.
And depending on the amount, the insurance company will or won't include the mortgage company if there's a mortgage on
Yes.
there.
Yep.
A lot of times mortgage companies will set up side escrow accounts
Right.
as you get the work done before
Right.
they they can pay you guys. But and then as you guys are doing your scope of work, if there's supplements that come up or there's something that was missed or so on and so forth, like I know with Farm Bureau, we're really easy to work with.
Right.
It's just, you contact the adjuster and, you
Right.
provide documentation and, it doesn't always work out.
So then you cut two checks, right? One on the front end, one on the back end. Is that accurate?
Yep.
And why do you do
Typically
it that
speaking,
way?
even if you have replacement costs, let's say on your roof, and let's say, whatever, that's 50 grand. They'll cut you a check for the actual cash value up front.
Okay.
So maybe they'll stroke you a check for 30-some thousand so you can start the process.
Yes.
And then once everything's done, you guys submit the final invoice to Farm Bureau. Farm Bureau strokes the check for the remaining difference.
Okay.
Everybody's made whole.
What if you write the first check but they don't get the work done?
There's been things put into place, which is why they're coming out with like cosmetic damage exclusions and things of that nature and I feel like, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm pretty sure it is, like the amount that insurance companies have been stroking the check for up front seems to be lower and lower.
Okay.
So that way people ultimately have to get the work done.
Makes sense.
So it's, there's, live and learn, but
Right.
I know there was a lot of like metal outbuildings and farm buildings and stuff that we pay to reskin, and then they never get reskinned and things of that nature. But yeah, if you want to recuperate your recoverable depreciation, you got to get the work done.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. Lastly, before we wrap this up, it hails today. I file a claim. Will that directly or indirectly impact my premium, my deductible? How, will it?
Yep.
And how?
So ultimately, claims affect us. Weather losses, Mother Nature losses, they affect us all.
Okay.
Rates come and go, and they usually go up. We have seen, like with Farm Bureau, rates went down in January. They're going to go down again in June.
Okay.
Anybody can go on the Department of Insurance website. Insurance companies have to file for rate changes.
Okay.
So anybody can go look at it.
I see.
But I know for us in particular, like our rates are going to be going down this year. Now, what happens this summer doesn't necessarily just ultimately like affect what's going to go on in next January or June. They've always said it's like a 5, 6, 7 year process over rates in general, how much is paid out.
Sure.
Most of your insurance companies have reinsurance, which is kind of like you and I have a deductible.
Right.
Like insurance companies have a deductible. So once a loss hits a certain $100,000 worth, then reinsurance kicks in, and that helps keep rates relatively manageable. Now, so indirectly, it affects all of our rates.
Okay.
But if you turn in a claim and I don't turn in a claim, and you get a new roof and I don't get a new roof, your rates are actually going to go down.
Okay, because I filed a claim and got a new roof.
Because you got a new roof.
Okay.
So a new roof's going to make your rates go lower.
So it's actually backwards of what you think it is.
But it's going to affect us all. And, especially with weather losses, like I always tell people, if you think that there might be some damage, call you guys up, have you guys go out there. Like, there either is or there isn't damage, right?
Yep, exactly.
So, and ultimately, there's got to be documentation, and, if there is, then turn in a claim. If there's not, don't worry about like it affecting your.
Right.
I tell any of my clients, like, it's not going to affect you any more than it's going to affect me. But
well, that helps. I really appreciate you taking the time for being on the podcast today. It really helps clear up some of the gray areas, and I think it's going to be beneficial for our audience. So thanks again for joining us.
Yeah.
Hey, if you find this information beneficial and you learn something from it, hey, give us a subscribe up to the Nick and Nick podcast on YouTube. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok. So we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.